Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Gervon Simon. Let's start by giving them, the listeners of the show, a little bit of your story, a little bit of your background, so they know who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Gervon Simon. I went to the United States Military Academy and I graduated in 2017. During my junior year at the academy, towards the end, I became enamored with real estate investing, just fell in love with it, reading books. But, as a cadet, I didn't have money to do it. And then as I commissioned in the Army, I continued to pursue education and learning and just trying to come up with ideas and solutions to get into investing. I actually tried to flip a house at the beginning of 2018. On the closing day, the deal fell apart. I lost about $1,000 on the deal, which is a lot to me back then. But I learned a lot about the hard money side of things and all that, and it really propelled me forward into understanding real estate on a deeper level. Going through that, I ended up purchasing some rental properties a few months after that failure. And then I also got my real estate license later that year as well. And now I'm an active real estate agent. I run a team in the Seattle and Tacoma and Olympia area where I do that full time. And I also have really grown in my investing as well.
Nice. You kind of brushed over some of the Army stuff too. So some people who like one thing that actually drew me to you too, because I watched some NCAA and maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned who your dad is too, since this is a Canadian podcast.
Yeah. So I come from a football family, honestly. My dad played Division I football at Maryland, went on to have a Hall of Fame career. He is the all-time leading receiver in yards and receptions in Canadian Football League history. I have two cousins, Andrew and Artrell Hawkins. They both played in the NFL. Andrew is actually really popular on Instagram and social media, and he's on TV every week. And he's actually on Roku too. The little Roku recommends. He's a guy on there. Yeah. And then they both played Division I ball and played years of professional football. And then myself, I played Division I football at Army, West Point, played in the Army Navy game, all that stuff. 4 years I played, and yeah, I actually ended up getting out of the Army because of some football injuries that I sustained while I was at the academy.
Okay. So maybe let's go through the path. So you're done at the football thing, and you decided you already showed an interest in doing the real estate thing. How does that go? How do you grow that? What does your business look like on the investing side, or maybe it's partially related to the realtor side as well? But how do you grow that? Do you have to raise money? What steps do you go through?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it really just all depends. There's so many different ways that
I was thinking like your story, how you kind of went through it.
Yeah. Well, so I started off the first purchases I made with my dad in my hometown. It's pretty cheap, very cheap to buy there. So in Western Pennsylvania, so we actually bought the houses we bought cash, which we later on sold. And then I really started my quote unquote investing journey by using my VA loan. Which is I know you're Canadian, but down here, if you serve in the military more than 90 days after duty during the time of war, you have access and eligibility for the VA loan, which is zero down. All you pay is your closing costs pretty much. So I utilize that. I'm completely maxed it out. There's ways to max it out. I completely maxed it out within 11 months time by purchasing two properties back to back, basically back to back years. And I turned the first one into a rental property. And then after I maxed it out, I didn't know exactly what my next step was going to be. So I then began flipping. And I had already, I think I mentioned that I had a failed flip in 2018.
Yeah.
I was trying my hand at a bunch of different things, trying to figure some things out. And in 2020, after I bought my second house with my VA loan, I dove headfirst into flipping. I purchased a flip here in Tacoma, Washington. Turned out very successful for me, made a good amount of money on it.
Yep.
And it really propelled me into I think, I think I flipped almost 10 houses in less than a year and a half since then. Right now, where I'm at right now, I want to get into development. I see development especially in the Tacoma market, there's a huge opportunity for development. And as you know, across the city, we were kind of talking about this before we started recording.
Yeah,
there are a lot of opportunities in larger cities that are becoming more expensive, and for affordable housing, for multifamily development of some sorts. So there's a lot of creative ways to get into it. There's a lot of creative things that you can do. There's a lot of programs that cities will allow you to do, and I'm really trying to tap into that a little bit more. Right now, I'm wrapping up a really, really hefty rehab of a 100-plus-year-old duplex.
Okay.
That I bought. That was a house next door to one of my rental properties that I bought off market, talking to the neighbor for a year.
Those are the best contacts.
Dude, it was the best deal of my life. If I sell it, I'd walk away with the largest profit of my life, but I'm gonna hold on to that thing. But yeah, so I'm wrapping that up, and I really just want to consolidate everything. I'm going through I'll be going through 2 refinances here in a couple weeks, to refi 2 flips and hold them as rentals. And from there, I'm just going to consolidate as much as I can and really take the next step towards development. My goal is by the end of the year to purchase either a lot or a property where I can subdivide to build a house with an additional accessory dwelling unit.
Nice. I'm gonna probe a little bit. So you can tell me I'm going too far, but so you finished a few years ago, or back whenever you're done in, so you get some VA loans to start, right? Max those out. Then what do you do for money? Like, how do you grow from there?
I mean, save, that was a big thing. The whole first 2 years that I had, the first 2 years that I had the first house with my VA loan as a rental property, I didn't touch a single penny of the cash flow. I mean, I was making a good cash flow from it, and it was just I didn't touch it whatsoever. I let it just continue to accrue, and then also, really, really honestly living below my means, and then also keeping my head down with my quote unquote day job of being a real estate agent. And I haven't really touched on that side too much, but that is, I mean, it exploded whenever I became full time in 2020 as an agent, because I was in the Army all of 2019. I sold about 29 houses that year, and then 2020 I more than doubled that, and then nearly tripled my production, and from 2019 to 2020. So that income speaks for itself, and it was just it was a blessing, and it's something that I've been able to really truly allow myself to live well below my means and continue to save, and so that I can take on other investment projects and ventures.
Yeah. When I started investing in the US, I did it by myself and had to go through the growing pains of doing that. GlennSutherland.com/coaching. A 12-week coaching program done 1 hour per week over Zoom from the comfort of your own home. Classes are kept to 5 people to be able to answer everyone's questions. Shortcut the process. Make fewer mistakes. Curriculum available at GlennSutherland.com/coaching. I'm just thinking, like, if you're doing 10 rehabs in a year, or like flips, you're either taking on some joint ventures or you're raising some private money. Is that sort of the path you went, or am I off base there?
No, you're not, I mean, not completely off base. I mean, technically, yeah, I'm raising money, but it's really hard money loans.
Yep. Okay.
So hard money loans, some of them, and I've never done a joint venture to this day other than the 2 houses that I bought and sold with my dad. Yep. But all my flips and projects, have been just solely me. Yep. I have a really good hard money lender. They used to lend exclusively to West Point grads, but now pretty much exclusively to veterans. And they've expanded a little bit. But honestly, the deals I get, I'm very picky when it comes to deals. There's a certain profit margin that if I can't project a certain profit margin, it's not worth my time in my mind. So it's not worth the time and risk. So with that being said, the deals that I aggressively pursue are ones that I deem very lucrative. And whenever I send those deals to my hard money lenders, a lot of times they're willing to lend over 90% of the entire project cost with very little of my own money out of pocket in order to do that. So that's honestly how I've been able to do so many flips in such a short amount of time, is that I found a lender that is very flexible with lending. They don't have a set lending standard in terms of what, the loan to cost that they'll lend. They have their own checks and balances, but I've been able to really just bring some really great deals to the table to a lender that's willing to work with me.
Makes a lot of sense. The hard money I usually get as a Canadian, which I don't know if it's even the same sort of hard money at all, but our fix and flip loans, usually 90-100 loans, like 90% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab, and then 70% of the ARV has to be covered from purchase to ARV. Same sort of thing, same sort of normal thing.
It's similar. I've gotten 100% of the project cost before. I've gotten, one of my best flips I ever had. I got actually two of them. I had to pay less than $10,000 out of pocket total.
Okay.
Just because they were just so flexible, and it had so much margin that that I walked into with them, that I ended up being able to take advantage of some really good lending.
Cool. And you mentioned profit margin a couple times there. When you're running your numbers, I know you're in a more expensive market than, like, I'm more in the Midwest. So typically, I work in Florida as well. So when I run in like say Ohio, I'm running it sort of on percentage basis. And then whenever I do Florida, I kind of run my deals based on amount of profit that's going to be made. Which way do you kind of look at it? Is it like a percentage you're trying to make, or a certain dollar amount that you're trying to make?
Dollar amount.
Yeah.
The way I factor in it, I factor in $10,000 in budget increases. Yeah, $10,000 to $15,000 of budget increases for every project. So if I can project it, everything at face value, and have a specific profit margin, and then take into consideration, like, hey, if the budget increases this amount of money, then will I be okay with this profit? If the answer is yes, then I'll move forward.
Yeah, makes sense. You got to have safe enough numbers to make this work. And honestly, I don't know. It just popped in my head, but I don't know a lot about VA loans, because a lot of times when I'm selling, I end up having to learn all the background of FHA. Even though I'm a Canadian, I don't use it, but I have to sell to it. So with VA, is it like a certain dollar cap? Because you said you had two properties, so it's not a property cap. Is it a certain amount that they will maximum lend?
Yeah, so the way it works is it's a little complicated, but the way it works is that the VA has what's called, not even the VA loan. Everywhere has conforming loan limits based on the county that you reside in. So basically higher income areas, places that cost of living is a little higher, like where I live, they'll increase the conforming loan limit. And so the conforming loan limit for Pierce and King County in Washington State is $891,000. So basically the way it works is, if I purchased a house last year for $400,000, and then I want to purchase it with my VA loan, and then I want to purchase another home with my VA loan this year, I have $491,000 zeroed up to $491,000 zero down to purchase a property with.
Yeah.
So if I go over that dollar amount, the way the VA loan works is, since they guarantee 25% of your loan, if you go over your basically your VA entitlement, which is the conforming loan limit minus the purchase price of your previous house, you pay 25% of that difference. So let's say I want to buy a house for $591,000, but I'm only allowed $491 for zero down. Yeah, that's $100,000 difference. I would pay $25,000 as my down payment.
Okay.
And it's no PMI. There's literally not a single investment product out there that has better interest rates than the VA loan. So they're all lower. And if you have 10% or more disability from the VA, then you actually don't have to pay the VA funding fee. The VA funding fee is a fee that's basically the VA loans version of PMI. They charge 2.3% for your first purchase, 3.3% for your second, but they tack it onto your loan. So if you get 10% or more disability, if you buy a house for $400,000, your loan amount's $400,000. Whereas if you're active duty or you're a veteran who hasn't received any kind of disability whatsoever, then your loan amount is basically $400,000 plus the 2.3%.
Very interesting. So if you sell a property, can you put another one back in then? It just keeps, it's like that sort of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the way it works is you can sell, if you sell your properties, you have full entitlement. And if you have full entitlement, which means you don't own any properties in your VA loan whatsoever, then you can actually, but there's no limit on the amount you can buy for. You can, if you qualify for $2 million, you can buy a house that you're down $2 million for $2 million. Another thing is you can do a conventional refinance one time. So I just did that, right? So this is a little bit more of a savvy move, an advanced move, and something that, you know, somebody that has a VA loan can do later on. You can, so I bought in 2019, I bought in 2020, I bought in 2021 with conventional, and now I'm gonna buy this year in 2022. But what I did was I refinanced my first property that I bought with my VA loan, freed up my entitlement. So I refinanced that in the conventional, freed up some entitlement. And then I'm going to purchase a house with a small down payment this upcoming fall with my VA loan again. So I'll have 3 properties that I purchased in 4 years with my VA loan.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's nice. You have amazing leverage and good interest rates. So that's, you know, that's a huge advantage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what are you working on these days? What's your business look like?
So, I mean, obviously day-to-day operations is really my agent stuff. One thing well, actually the first house I purchased that turned into a rental, I tried to Airbnb it. The very first guest that I had, the boyfriend or girlfriend shot at her boyfriend inside my house. So, yeah, it's crazy. So I said, you know what? I do not care about how much money anybody's making on Airbnb. I'm going to figure something else out. So I had the entire house already furnished, all these, you know, nice little decorations and stuff. I mean, my wife now, girlfriend at the time, you know, we spent a lot of hours putting it together as we moved into the next house. And so I actually started renting to travel nurses where my houses are. And I actually bought the second house I bought my VA loan was across the street, which is now I rented travel nurses as well. And then a duplex is right next to that. So I have basically 4 units in a 1 block radius. And all of them are travel nurse rentals. So that's what I focus on right now. I'm able to get great margin, Airbnb like cash flow without the turnover of every single you know, every other day or every couple of days or so. You know, my turnover, I probably get about 2 tenants a year. So there's a little bit more turnover than a 12-month lease, but it's still so much more consistent and predictable than an Airbnb that, you know, I'm totally okay with that. And then there's 5 hospitals that travel nurses go to within a 1 mile radius of those properties.
Is there a trick to get in with the travel nurses? I had someone else talking about the same thing. I never asked them, like, is there a certain application or how do you even get starting to work with them?
There's some more advanced ways, like if you get in good with hospitals or agencies, they'll work directly with you. I haven't done that. I just put it up on furnishfinder.com and they come in and they reach out to my property manager, and that's what we do.
Easy enough. And then for traveling nurses, they sort of just sign do you still do a lease whenever like they're still staying for like 5 months or 3 months, or do you do it on like a monthly renewal, or what's the best way to work with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do I like to do a 3-month lease. Sometimes I'll do 6 months if I know that they're going to be there for a longer period of time. But you know, I'm flexible. I'll work with them. You know, if their assignment gets canceled after their first assignment, because they do 13-week assignments. So if their assignment gets canceled after their first one, you know, all good, because I know that there's other travel nurses literally desperate for housing. And as soon as I make a listing available, I mean, me and my property manager get blown up like no one's business. So I had somebody look me up on Facebook and call me and it's like, hey, I saw you're a real estate agent. You rent to travel nurses. And I'm like, how did you find me?
So, like for advantages to working with travel nurses, do you get a higher rent, like sort of more similar to like an Airbnb, or what's the advantages of doing this?
Significantly higher rent.
Yeah.
So travel nurses, they're actually very similar to like military, but their contracts, they provide housing stipends. So they'll get, they'll get their salary plus a tax-free stipend. And what a lot of nurses will do is they'll team up with other nurses and just rent it out and split the rent. So they're already getting extra pay and that benefit. And then they're also splitting the rent. So they're pocketing a lot of money. And it's really an advantage. And you're not taking advantage of somebody because, there's a lot of upkeep and a lot of things that I have to deal with when it comes to having furnished rentals, such as furniture and making sure I have everything. The expenses are higher, but the cash flow ends up being larger in the long run whenever you do that than a traditional rental.
Right. And is there an advantage for like the laws? Like if this doesn't go, because you're not going to be under the regular Tenancy Act, right?
I am.
You are? Okay.
I am. They're signing a lease.
We're signing a lease. Okay. That's good. That's good. I'm glad I asked because I was thinking like, because a lot of times you do Airbnb and you get outside of the Tenancy Act. So that's where I was curious. Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Gervon, if people wanted to track you down, wanted to find your business to I don't know if you're looking to raise money or what your business actually is, but if maybe talk about that and then how do the people contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a lot of connections to a lot of agents in a lot of cities and a lot of metro areas in terms of, so if you're looking for somebody who's an investor savvy real estate agent, or if you're just looking for a good agent to purchase a home with, feel free to reach out to me. I could always put you in touch with somebody that I trust in pretty much every major city in the United States. Very easy to find. I'm very easy to find. My Instagram and social and pretty much all my social media is just Gervon Simon. So GervonSimon. It's the perks of having a unique name like I do. And then if you wanted to go to my website and check out what I do as a real estate agent, GQHomeTeamWA.com is our team website. But all those links and stuff are in my Instagram bios and all that stuff. So
awesome. Yeah. So if you're looking to find a good agent, give Gervon a call, and you guys can connect and find someone to work for you. Work well for you. I can't talk today. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. There's a lot of value, especially because I didn't know very little about VA loans, and traveling nurses is always very popular.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a market and you're looking to expand a cash flow a little bit, I mean, really all I did, man, is I bought a house, I lived in it, I bought a next house, and I it's expensive, but I purchased furniture, new furniture at every house I moved to. So then that way I left the furniture behind and made sure it was ready for travel nurses. So, it's a good strategy for someone that's just trying to get started and grow some wealth and grow some cash flow. And I can speak volumes to what it's done for myself and my family and my financial life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it a lot. That was great.
Absolutely, man. And it was great having me and I thank you for having me on.